chocolate town. Make a time, breaking ground, sailbound bay to chocolate town. Making time, breaking ground, Greyhound bus to chocolate town.
All right, good afternoon and welcome. This is Computer Science 1, officially CSCE 155E. I'm Dr. Chris Burke. You can refer to me as Burke, though. There are too many Chris's in the world in the department to use my first name, though. Today we're just going to give you a quick introduction to this class. I am live streaming this like I live stream all my lectures. This will be available on YouTube. If you ever can't make a lecture or something like that, then you can go ahead and tune into YouTube. The recordings are available immediately afterwards. So if you miss a lecture or need to go back for a review, they should be on there, barring any technical difficulties that we might encounter. And we're good? Good. I do monitor the chat on the side, so if you have any questions, you can post them there, or you can just raise your hand if you're here. But if you're online, you can go ahead and use the chat there. I'm not great about looking over there all the time, so it's better to raise your hand if you're actually here, though. So first of all, are you in the right class? This is again CSCE 155E, and it's Computer Science 1 using the C programming language. It's a highly challenging and rigorous course. It does not require any prior programming and knowledge at all. We do start from the basics. But there are other offerings. For example, 101 is a course for non-majors. 155A is the companion course to this that uses Python, and it's a little bit gentler introduction to programming and computer science. 155T is designated for data science majors. And all three of these use Python. If you are interested and may in an even greater challenge, I also do 155H, which is in the morning section, and that course is different in that it covers two programming languages at the same time, C and Java. Here, we're just covering C. And then if you are a general purpose, general engineering major, then you may or may not want to consider MATLAB instead. But otherwise, if you're computer science, computer engineering, some data science folks, and anybody else? No, I think that's it for now. There will be a robotics major coming up, maybe in a year or two. But if you are in the right place, all right? It's okay if you have prior experience. It's okay if you do not. Again, we are starting from scratch. I'm going to be your instructor for the next semester, possibly year if you're taking Computer Science 2 in the spring. And of course, we have about a dozen, or actually 18 different learning assistants. Let me jump over here to Canvas immediately and take a look at the first link on the landing page, Getting Help and Instructor Info. Here, you'll find me and some information about myself, but you also find all the course leaders, which are undergraduates that have taken this course in the last year or maybe 2 years ago. We've got course leaders, learning assistants, about a dozen of them, and they'll be helping you out in your labs and your hack sessions, and you can find all of their office hours right here on this grid. So we have a good coverage here on help hours throughout the entire week, Monday through Friday, all to be held in Lab 15, which is in the basement and that section of the building. Right? You'll need your N-card access to get access to it, though. But otherwise, you do have N-card access to this building and to the lab 24/7. Right? The N-card you might need to get in on the south side of the building after hours or whatever. But otherwise, the building and its lab and its computers are available 24/7 to you if you don't have your own machine. Right? All right. So those are that's our team. That's our learning team here. What is this course about, or and more generally, what is computer science about? Right. And I like to use a couple quotes here from science fiction authors, because if you read my bio, you'll understand I like reading and science fiction. Here's from Douglas Adams. If you really want to understand something, the best way is to try to explain it to somebody else. That forces you to sort it out in your own mind. That's really the essence of programming. By the time that you've sorted out a complicated idea into small little steps that even a stupid machine can deal with, then you've certainly learned about something about it yourself, right? And that is what programming is. That's what problem solving is more generally. Because problem solving involves taking a big problem and splitting it down into smaller and smaller problems until it's so small that it's either trivial, right? You can solve it directly, or that somebody has already solved that problem. Right? And that's what programming is, right? It's breaking a problem down into smaller and smaller chunks until the computer can that you can break it down no further. The computer can add 2 numbers or something. The second quote that encapsulates what computer science is to me is from Michael Crichton. In my experience, you assert control over a computer, you show it who's boss by making it do something unique. That means programming it. If you devote a couple of hours programming to a new machine, you'll feel better about it afterwards. You either are the masters of the machine, or you become the machine becomes masters of you, right? That's the difference between a computer scientist, data scientist, computer engineer, software engineer, whatever you want to call yourself, right? We're masters of the machine. We don't let the machine dictate to us what we can and cannot do. We tell the machine what to do, right? What is computer science? Again, at its core, it's problem solving. We don't have a monopoly on problem solving. Every single discipline it solves problems, right? Computers, however, do not solve problems. Computers only automate solutions. But once you've solved that problem, us humans have solved that problem, then the computer is really good at processing large amounts of data very, very quickly, something that humans are not good at, right? It's a discipline that's becoming ancillary to all other disciplines. Can't tell you how many times we'd be other people in other disciplines coming to us saying, I've got this problem and I need a program to solve it. Can I hire somebody? Well, not for the amount that you're paying, no. But if you learn this valuable skill yourself, maybe you could do it yourself. And in fact, that's what other disciplines are becoming. There's not going to be any discipline in the near future that is not going to require some level of programming. In fact, Isaac Asimov said that over 60 years ago. We're not there yet. He was asked about 2014, and we're 10 years beyond that. But he said that there will be few routine jobs that cannot be done better by some machine than by some human. Therefore, mankind will have to become a race largely of machine tenders. Right? In the next 20 years, with automation, most of the jobs, especially the lower level jobs that you say today, will be gone. Or they will be consolidated so that one person is tending the machines that 10 or 20 other people were doing today. Right? And you are on the forefront of that. Right? You'll be the ones that are programming those machines and telling them what to do. Right? What is this course specifically about? Well, it's a Computer Science 1 course, so it's an introduction to computer science. It's not just a programming course, though, right? We will be covering a programming language, C, as our tool for solving problems. Because programming is just the tool, right? There are many tools out there. There are lots of programming languages, hundreds of programming languages. It's about problem solving and computational thinking, algorithms, data processing, data structures, data algorithms, etc. And the reason is that the world is process, right? Look at any other discipline, like I said, biological. Biology is a process. Physical processes, economic processes, engineering processes. Every single one of these is a process that can be programmed to some extent today, right? The essential topics that we'll be covering are enumerated in our, I'll just go over here to our schedule. You'll see an introduction this week. Then this week we'll start on the basics. Then we'll look at conditionals, if, else, if statements, loops. Then there's our first exam, functions, error handling and unit testing, arrays, etc., etc. So it's organized like a typical CS1 course here, but these are the essential topics, not in any particular order here. This is from the official listing for this course. As we just previewed there, everything is broken down into modules. Each course, each major topic has one module roughly once per week, or one per week. Of course, because of Labor Day and the football game and Thanksgiving, etc., we're going to be off a little bit, but roughly 1 week, not exactly 1 week. Each module covers a major topic or subtopics. Each one has pre-prepared tutorial videos that you can and should be watching. Graded readings, which are due on Mondays generally. Lectures, lab, and hacks. Right? And it's all organized like this. Here are the materials. Each Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we will have a lecture. I will live stream that and update it as we go along. You can, of course, go look at the YouTube playlist for this particular course. Otherwise, I'll be putting in links here directly. Here are the pre-prepared videos. Like I've already said on Campus Wire, video 1.1 and 1.2 are walkthroughs of Lab 1 and Hack 1 due this week, or that you're going to be doing this week. Later on, when we get to basics, I've got 6 pre-prepared videos on that, right? Over here in conditionals, I've got 5 pre-prepared videos on that. You'll see that they're quite short, so they're digestible, right? You can still put them on, fast forward or whatever, 2 times speed. But you can always go back to them. In fact, if somebody asks a question that we've covered in class or that's covered in these videos, on Campus Wire, what I'll basically do is put the video up, embed the video at a particular timestamp, and then you can watch your answer instead of reading an answer. Right? There's also optional reading. These are just extra articles or extra items of interest. For example, 35 habits that make you write bad code. You might want to avoid those 35 habits. And then in the graded materials, we've got our graded reading, which is in zyBooks. Make sure that you've picked up your zyBooks code by the end of the day because you'll want to get started on your first couple of readings. Lab 1, which is tomorrow and due tomorrow at midnight. Hack 1, which is this Thursday and due the following Monday. Right? But otherwise, they're all organized exactly the same. Next week, exactly the same structure. There's graded reading, lab, hack. Graded reading, lab, hack, right, etc. We'll come back to those 2 items here in a second. As far as lectures go, like I said, I record them, I live stream them, I record them. 8 people are watching right now. We'll always get people that are outside of this because I've got, I misspoke this morning. I said 4,000 subscribers. Looks like I've got 5,000 subscribers. So we'll just get weird, random internet folks hopping into the chat all the time. Take no note. But they are live streamed and recorded and made available on YouTube right after. We will be doing it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, same time, same place. My lecture notes, I don't have pre-prepared, PowerPoint or whatever it is. Instead, I code my stuff in Markdown. And you'll see that when we get started. In fact, maybe by the end of the day, we'll see that. But otherwise, I will push those notes to GitHub, and I will provide a link to them. Hello online. Anyway, you still need to take notes, right? because they're your notes, right? They're your understanding of the material. So as you're taking notes, either you're typing them or you're writing them down or something, you annotate them with, this was not clear, ask this question, and then maybe, I got that answered, and cross that off or whatever. The simple act of taking notes, of taking it from your brain and immediately putting it out of your brain on a piece of paper actually helps you learn, right? And also limit distractions. Again, even though I'm recording it, even though I post the notes, numerous studies have indicated that phones, social media, even the mere presence of a smartphone make you dumber, right? In other words, you're not actually paying attention. You can't just absorb the material by osmosis or whatever, right? Like I said, there are some pre-prepared videos, right? There are 60-some videos and 9.5 hours of material. The intention is that you watch it before class, before that particular module. But it also presents a different perspective, different exercises, reiteration of what we're doing in class. You can also watch it as a review after the lectures if you miss something. Okay. Campus Wire is our online forum. You should have received an invite to that. Once you sign in, it looks something like this. 3, 2, 1. There we go. There are pinned posts for the welcome message of what you can and should be doing. There's a reminder of that on week 1. I post many announcements on this. In fact, this is going to be our main line of communication. It's great because if you have a question, you can post it to Campus Wire, and anybody can answer it. So if I can't get to it, one of the LAs can get to it. Learning assistants can get to it. If they can't get to it, maybe one of you can get to it because you can answer other students' questions. You can ask questions anonymously. You can ask questions so that everybody knows who you are. You can ask questions so that the instructors, me and the LAs, know who you are, but nobody else does. You can post privately. You can do DMs as well, right? So lots of different options there and for communication. In fact, if you ask us a question on email, I'm going to say, great question. How about we post this on Campus Wire because maybe 5, 10, 50 other people have the same exact question, right? And they want to get the benefit of the answer too. Later on, when somebody asks the same question on Campus Wire, I will simply just link back to the canonical answer that was already accepted, right? So keep that in mind. You can also have follow-ups here and once you get used to it. I'm not going to look at my notifications right now, but whatever. And also, finally, help hours. Again, we've got, I think it's actually 18 learning assistants and me. We hold our office hours over, again, down in Avery 15, and we're available, some of us as early as 8 a.m., and it looks like Wednesday at 7:30 is the last one, but of course not everybody holds them that late. Since your hacks are due on Mondays, looks like Sharma is the last person there, and they're only there until 5. So keep that in mind. That if you do wait to the last possible minute, I'm sure that Sharma is going to be swamped on that with people that have waited to the last possible minute. But Monday through Friday, 30+ weekly help hours. Again, each one of those things that we grade individually here. For example, the first one is readings, weekly readings. That's Zybook. It's an access through Canvas. Only go through Canvas. Do not go to zybooks.com because it will not have a callback to your Canvas profile to automatically grade you. So you need to make sure that you go through Canvas here. For example, let's see, there's Module 1 reading. Go to that, hit the button to open it up in a new window. If this is your first time, it's not my first time, but if it's your first time, it'll ask you for the access code and stuff like that. But otherwise, once you do that, then it associates your Canvas ID and your Zybooks code, and you can start reading. At the end of each reading, or embedded sometimes, is some questions. Once you've answered these questions, you can answer them as many times as you want to get it right. I don't even without even looking at the code. I don't know. Oh, nope, that's wrong. Nope, no, that's wrong. I don't know how many instructions were up there. 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like. Check that. Yeah, I got it right. Right. You can answer as many times, but don't just spam it with 1, 2, 3, 4. First of all, that's going to take longer than actually answering the question. But you can come back and up to the due date and answer the questions, re-answer them as many times as it takes to get it right. Right. That is worth. Oops. Let's go back over here. That is due Mondays, generally by midnight. Of course, I'm not going to make you do your first reading today and speed run through it in the next, 10 hours. Instead, that one is due next Tuesday because of Labor Day. Double check on all of your due dates, though. If you we do have an FAQ. I'll link to that in the Campus Wire as well. For example, what happens if I did this and screwed up and did this? Well, here's how you fix it. Right? There are also many supplementary articles. Right? That's worth 15 points, roughly 1% of your grade, and we have 13 of them, so it adds up to 13% of your grade. We'll take a look at the syllabus here in a moment. Labs are Tuesdays. Attendance is required, asterisk, I'll come back to that. It's 15 points, and it's graded on completion. If you've already gone through Lab 1, great. If you haven't, you'll do it tomorrow. It's due tomorrow by midnight. There are many LAs in the lab that are going to help you along with the process. Otherwise, video 1.1 walks you through the entire process of you writing code, downloading the code, handing it in. Once you hand it in, you get graded. Great. There are 5 tests. Test 1 passed. Test 2 passed. Test 3 passed. Test 4 failed. That's all right. Go back, fix your code. Hand it in again as many times as you want up until that due date at midnight. Otherwise, it's 15 points. It's graded on completion. If all the tests pass, great. You get your 15 points. If 4 of the tests pass and 1 fails, keep working. You need those. Otherwise, it's 0 points. Right? That's why it's based on completion. In labs, we encourage peer programming. So we encourage you to team up with at least one other person. One of you should be the navigator. One of you should be the driver. The navigator is responsible for the handout and directing what are we going to be doing next. The driver is in charge of the keyboard and actually coding. Switch off every now and then. Of course, you're going to have your own computers there, right? Sometimes you'll be the driver, sometimes you'll be the navigator, right? Sometimes you'll switch back at a matter of moments, right? There's no, this is what you have to do at all times, this is what you have to do at all times. This is just a guideline here for how to successfully go about this driver-navigator collaboration. You can complete them on your own if you want to. You're both responsible, however, for communicating and solving the problem. Again, it's based on completion, so you get 100%. Great, you're good to go. Leave it in there. Right? Each one of you, if you team up, each one of you needs to turn in a copy, though. So complete the code, submit, resubmit if necessary, as many times as you want up until that due date at midnight. They are designed to be done within the lab, so if you're well prepared and you get there and you start immediately, it's only going to take you an hour and 15 minutes to get it done. Right? That's okay if you didn't get it done because you have still till midnight. So go home, finish it there if you need to, or whatever. Okay. Hacks are on Thursdays, and they're a little bit more substantial. We don't expect you to be done that day. It's going to be some more substantial programming exercises that are due on the following Monday at midnight. So these midnight things are called Cinderella due dates. That's going to be actually technically it's 11:59 p.m. Right? So one fraction of a second before midnight. You may work in pairs, not triples, not quadruples. You may work alone on these if you want. If you do pair up, you need to go into Canvas and join a hack pair. That'll be set up very soon. I think I still need to do that. Otherwise, you should only turn in one copy. If you both turn in a copy, that's fine. Me, Burke, I teamed up with Zielinski. B comes before Z, right? So therefore, mine will be graded, right? If I don't turn one in and Zielinski does, then his is graded, right? If neither one of us turns it in, then of course neither one of us is graded. But do be aware that if you are both turning in a copy, the one whose last name comes first, that's the one that we end up grading. Right? And the other one actually ends up being deleted because of the scripts that we run. Right? It's graded based on style, documentation, design, and correctness. These are all things that we will be covering as we go along. The correctness is nearly 100% automated in that when you submit it to CodePost runs all these scripts in the background and says, your output matches this output, great, good to go. That output does not match this output, -5 for that test case. You will have that feedback immediately. You can always go back, fix it, and resubmit as many times as you want up until that midnight due date, that Cinderella due date. Right? Attendance, remember I said asterisk. we do require attendance at lab and hack sessions. We base it on 10 points, right? But we're going to give you the agency and the responsibility to decide how to approach this course. Don't be late. If you want the attendance points, show up. Don't show up late. Don't leave early unless you're done. You must work on the lab and the hack for the entire time, and you must put in a full effort, not just sit there dinking on a phone or whatever, right? We will give you those 10 points, 5 for the lab, 5 for the hack, right? Alternatively, if you miss it that week, that's fine. If you decide I don't need to go, or I'm sick, or I'm on travel or something like that, that's fine. You can earn those 10 points back by proving that you've understood the material. Get 75% or more on the hack, the lab, and the reading, and we will award those 10 points regardless of what you did. If you attended and got those 10 points, great. We're not taking those away based on anything else. But otherwise, if you don't attend and you get less than 75%, then you don't get those points. And that's a huge, strong indication that you should be attending lab and hack, right? My recommendation is attend throughout the course, but certainly for the first few weeks, just to make sure that you are understanding what's going on, right? We also have PDC modules. These are based on completion. There are 2 surveys. They are due in week 4, week 3. Excuse me. There's part A and part B. We're testing your pre-knowledge of PDC concepts. PDC is parallel and distributed computing. For the last couple of years, I've been involved in an NSF-funded initiative to try to introduce parallel and distributed computing earlier in the curriculum rather than just a technical elective. And what that means is, programming multi-threaded programs that use more than one processor at a time. We no longer live in a world where computers only have one processor. Right? Even a basic phone has a dual core, a duo core, or quad core, or something like that. But unfortunately, a lot of material still assumes that we're in the single core world. So to try to change curriculum and get other people to change it, this is part of a study. You don't have to opt in if you don't want to. You can opt out, but you still need to complete these for credit, right? We're not quizzing you. You don't get anything right or wrong. Instead, you complete the survey there. You complete the survey there, and you get your 35 points, which translates to roughly 3% of your grade. So, and then at the end of the semester, we re-ask, right? Between now and then, though, we have the series of modules that you can go through at your own pace to understand what parallel and distributed computing entails, or the basic concepts behind it. It does not require any coding at all, right? In fact, it's all web simulations and stuff like that. Right? Finally, we have 3 exams, 2 of them during the regular semester, and then 1 cumulative final exam, which is about altogether about 25% of your grade. Right? They are executable exams, however. We're not going to give you bubble sheets. We're not going to give you do they still have the blue books out there? Blue books? No, for like English stuff and stuff like that? No, they do? Oh, tell me what course that is. AI course, okay. Where you have, they give you blue books, these books of lined paper, and then you write in them. No, you write code in this course. So how am I going to test you if you're writing stuff on a piece of paper? No. Instead, we give you, on the test day, we'll open the test at midnight that morning, and we will give you until midnight of that evening to do the exam. It's only going to be designed for an hour, but you can choose any time that you want in that exam period. You will be writing code, submitting it to CodePost, resubmitting it if you really want to, if you need to, exactly like you would everything else, labs and hacks. Right? See Canvas for the full schedule, and more details will be posted later on. But otherwise, I can tell you right now that there we go. Week 5, that's September 23rd through the 27th. There's your exam right there that Friday, so plan ahead. You will need a working computer. If you don't have a working computer, or your computer breaks or whatever, get down to the lab. Those are available 24/7, right? And it's highly unlikely that all 30 computers down there are going to break at the same time. Right? But otherwise, that's Fix It Week. That we'll talk more about that later on. Right? All right. Collaboration is not mooching. When you decide to team up with somebody either in lab or hack, It doesn't mean that one person does all the work. Right? It's not that you're going to mooch and I'll let my partner do all the work, right? No, and I'll just coast, right? You're undermining your own learning experience if you do that. If you're the other partner that does everything for themselves, right, and you don't let your partner get in word and edgewise or whatever, you are undermining the learning experience of the other partner. Don't do either one of those things. The collaboration is supposed to be an equal effort. You need to be able to bounce ideas off of each other. Second pair of eyes, a different perspective is always great, right? There are many ways of solving a problem. If your partner comes up with one way of solving a problem and you've come up with a different way of solving a problem, try to explain it to each other, right? This is why I think we should do this. Your partner says, this is why I think we should do this, right? They might both be correct, right? And you might end up doing both solutions or one or the other solution. But you come away with a different perspective and a different way of solving a problem that will help you maybe in the future, right? Because that way of solving the problem worked then, but it didn't work on something later on, but my partner's idea will work, right? Branch out and don't just collaborate with your friends is my advice as well, right? Why? Because bad partnerships can ruin good friendships and good friendships can make bad partnerships, right? But to each his own. I'm not going to enforce any of that stuff. Let's take a look at the syllabus really quick. Right? There it is. It's linked to on Canvas. If you go into Canvas, if you look at the first week here, recommended reading, syllabus. Got some more. I guess here 2 more quotes here, but they're not famous. In fact, I don't know who they are because they were former students taking this course in a previous year. The readings were the most underrated thing ever. I've never actually read them, but I wish I did. Thanks for providing them and leaving the whole course available to us. Right? Enjoyed the videos. Did not really watch them until later. Realized it was a mistake now. So learn from your fellow students of years past, right? Make sure that you're taking full advantage of all the resources that we provide you. Prerequisites, post-requisites, that's all there. Be aware of university policies, resources, and services. In particular, 2 that I want to draw to your attention are SSD, Services for Students with Disabilities. If you have a documented disability that needs accommodations for exams, due dates, whatever, then make sure that you are registered with the SSD office. They'll work with me directly without having to violate your privacy or your medical information, right? Mental health and well-being services. CAPS, which is Counseling and Psychological Services, offers unlimited number of counseling sessions. So if you're feeling stressed out, if you want some psychological services, please make sure that you're setting up a meeting with CAPS. And then a whole bunch of other policies that you should make yourself aware of: diversity, inclusion, sexual misconduct, academic integrity, etc. Okay? Those are the university policies. Continuation of instruction for this course, if it snows or something, it's not going to get much hotter than it is today, so there's no heat day or anything like that. But if it snows later on, then we might end up having I stream from home instead, right? Already I can tell you that home football game, we're just going to call it. All right, no class at all on that day. But otherwise, since I stream, since I record, right, I can still provide lecture. If it happens on a hack or a lab, we'll see what happens there. Right? You can still complete it online or something. These are the skills objectives that you should have at the end of this course. The schedule is in Canvas. There are the point distributions. Everybody already has 100% in this course because they give you 30 points for free, right? Even though it doesn't add up properly, right? I just want you to get started on a good foot, right? So everybody right now has 100% in this course. There's no reason that you shouldn't strive to keep it like that. The surveys, which again are based on completion, that's about 70 points or 7% of your grade, 6% of your grade or so. There are 13 Zybooks readings, each worth 15 points for 195 points. 12 labs, 15 each for 180. 13 hacks, 25 each for 325 points. The attendance, 13 weeks times 10, 130. And then there are the 2 exams and the final all add up to about 1,230, if I was correct. I don't know. I'll have to go back and make sure. But otherwise, again, everybody has started out well. You all have 100% right now. Right? Keep it up. Right? The PDC modules courses, those are surveys done later on. The readings, labs, and hacks and the attendance policy. We've already gone through all that. Of course, it's all here in the syllabus if you need a refresher, or on the video if you want to rewatch it again. Standard scale for this course: A plus, B plus, or plus minuses are certainly possible. If you have a problem with grading, you will know who graded it in CodePost. Again, you'll be walking through this process this week, where you hand in a lab, oh, it didn't work, hand it in again, or whatever. You will see on your first graded material that we go in and we put line-by-line comments. So if you miss something on line 5, you will have a comment there in there saying why you missed something on line 5. Right? But if you have a question about it, you should go to the person who graded it first. If you can't get it resolved, then come and talk to me. Okay? Generally, we do not allow late work because, again, it's a generous submit, resubmit, regrade as many times as you want up until the due date. We do have a fix-it week. I'll talk about that when we get closer to week 5. Okay? There's the grader policy, grading policy, whatever. Academic integrity. Other than hacks and labs, all work should be your own. Right? So, yeah, you can probably team up on the readings if you're having trouble, but the exams, those have got to be your own work, right? No collaboration with anybody else, including artificial intelligence tools, right? So AI tools are great once you've learned something, right? Once you've learned something, they can speed up your work, but when you're learning something, they're not so great. Right? There is an AI tool built into the IDE that we're going to be using. I should refresh my memory on how to do that. But it's a chatbot that will walk you through problems, but it won't give you code. And so that's okay. But simply just using like ChatGPT or Copilot or something and copying and pasting the problem statement and it giving you a solution. First of all, it's it's a crapshoot on whether or not you actually get a viable solution. But even if you did, that's not allowed, right? Don't just ask it for code. Otherwise, communication, best to communicate through CampusWire because then everybody gets the benefit of the answer. I will be posting weekly updates. Any particular announcements or anything will be posted here. And the first question that gets asked then will be answered here, and all subsequent questions as well. So that's how you can get help. And then the second part about how you can get help is through the Learning Assistant program. Right there's my help hour right there on it was this morning 10 to 11:30. There's my second help hour 1:30 to 2:30 on Wednesdays, but I'm not the only one, right? We've got a couple dozen nearly 2 dozen, I think 18 or so, a dozen and a half learning assistants helping throughout the week. Obviously they don't hold help sessions generally on Tuesdays and Thursdays because those are your lab and hack sessions. Okay. So, any questions so far? Syllabus, right? How to get help through the Learning Assistant program, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Go ahead and read the syllabus at your leisure. Otherwise, again, no late work is accepted. Academic integrity, do not use ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever. We do use MOS, which is Measure of Software Similarity. There are plagiarism tools now for essays, right? But guess what's even more structured than essays? Code. And so guess what's even easier to detect plagiarism with? Code. In fact, MOS has been around, predates plagiarism detection tools in English by at least 10 years because code is highly structured. Right? You're talking to a dumb machine. You've got to have a high level of structure in code to be able to do that. So don't do it. Right? Again, labs and hacks, if you choose to work with somebody, great, pair up. But don't copy code and don't share code either. Right? Exams don't share any code, period, with anybody. Right? How to succeed in this course. Right? Don't assume anything about yourself. Right? We start with zero knowledge. Even if you have greater than zero knowledge, you're going to learn something. Even if you have 4 years of high school Java, and before that, you were programming for 3 years in Lua because you like Roblox, right? And before that, you were doing JavaScript because you wanted to do some sort of web-based stuff or something like that in grade school, right? Great. You're still going to learn something because I'm going to tell you now, 4 years of high school Java. High school Java ain't real Java, okay? You're going to learn a lot better Java, or later on, I guess, because we're in C. I can almost guarantee you no high school that I know of covers C. Anybody? No? Vex? Oh, wow. Like robotics programming. Okay.
The main Vex is switched over to Python, but if you have one of the older libraries.
Ah, okay. And do you know why that is? Why are we even covering C in this course? So Python. Guess what Python is written in? C. Java. Guess what Java is written in? C. Right? Everything at its core is written in C, right? Because we don't like reinventing the wheel. Once we've written some system level stuff in C, everybody else uses it, right? The basic math library, that's in C, right? Nobody's rewriting the math, the sign function if they can just use the built-in C library stuff, right? But coding is a skill that needs practice, right? And this is why we have one lab session and one hack session every week. This is why you have weekly readings, weekly labs, weekly hacks, right? It's because it's a skill that requires practice. You can't just pick up a violin and immediately be a good player, right? You need the old adage of 10,000 hours to become an expert in something. You're not going to get 10,000 hours here, and you're not going to be an expert, but you're going to be pretty damn good at it by the end of the semester, right? But you need to be practicing in order to do that. Don't compare yourself to that person that I was talking about that had 4 years of high school Java and Python and Vex programming and Roblox and whatever else, right? Compare yourself to yourself, not to others, because that's how you know that you're making progress. Compare yourself to, in week 4, compare yourself to yourself on day 1. At the end of the semester, compare yourself to the person that started this course. That's the real comparison, right? Did you make progress? The main takeaway here is that everybody may struggle. In fact, I can change that to will struggle. Because even if you've had those 4 years, right? That 4 years can only take you so far, and then you hit a wall at some point, and you have to climb that wall. That's when you're going to struggle. However, everybody can succeed in this course. Okay? All right, any questions? Then with the remainder of our time, let me go ahead and get you started on Lab 1. So CS50 is the IDE that we're going to use. No installation. All it needs is a web browser. You can access this anywhere in the world as long as you've got an internet connection. You do need a GitHub account. We'll walk you through that process in Lab 1, or Video 1.1 walks you through it. CS50 Dev is, CS50 is actually Harvard's CS50 course, CS.5 course, I'd say. Actually, no, CS1 course. But we're piggybacking on them. They don't know it, and we're using it for free, right? Anybody, they don't care. If you were to use code spaces without going through CS50, you can, but you are limited to 20 hours a month, and that ain't going to cut it. 20 hours a month, and then after that you get throttled, and you have to start paying for it. But CS50 is free 24/7, no limits. Right? Once you log in, after it loads, of course, you will have a full integrated development environment. Over here on the left is going to be a file explorer, right? Over here on the right, I've got a code editing box here when it actually loads. And then down here, I've got a terminal. I've already got my first program loaded up here, demo.c. What do you think it does? Here's the actual code. What do you think it does? Probably prints. I don't know what F means. We'll understand that later. But what do you think it prints? Hello world. And then what's that weird thing right there? That's a new line character, right? Because if I want a new line in a regular word processor, what do I have to do? I have to hit enter. I can't do that in code though, right? Because the enter would show up as me entering to the next line in the code. So I need a way of designating the new line character. That is I can increase the size here. There you go. Terrible resolution on this overhead here, but whatever. Hello world. So is that a slash or a backslash? It's a backslash. How do you tell the difference? Imagine that you're reading left to right, and so a person is standing facing that way. Is that person leaning backwards, or are they leaning forwards? And this person is leaning backwards, so it's a backslash n. Right? Down here, I've got a terminal. That's where I'm going to actually compile this thing. GCC is our compiler. It stands for GNU's compiler, C compiler. Right? It's actually compiler because it can compile anything. Demo.c. Oops, I'm not in that directory. I need to be in that proper directory, which is in lecture. That's the file explorer over here. In lecture, CSCE 155E. You shouldn't follow this. This is for me, the instructor. Right? You'll organize it with labs, hacks, and miscellaneous if you want to. But once I've changed my directory, CD'd into that directory, then I can list the files in there. There's my demo.c file that's up here that's also over here. Right? If I close this out, I can go ahead and double click this and I'm back to it. Right? That's the same file as being listed right here. When I did that GCC, that created a new file called a.out. It's green because it is executable. I can run that here in the command line in this terminal and it prints out hello world. Right? What if I did not have that \n? It saves automatically, by the way. Every keystroke it's going to save. And if I close this out and open it tomorrow, it's going to be exactly the same. All those files are persisted on GitHub and saved on GitHub. And as long as you're logging in every 90 days, then it'll stay there. Right? If you don't log in, and after you'll get a warning. I got a warning and everything was wiped because I didn't log in. But let me go ahead and run it again without that \n. It didn't change. Why? Well, I changed the code, but I didn't recompile it. Any change is going to require a recompilation. So let me go ahead and do that again, run it again, and you'll see that it no longer goes to the next line right there. It's down here. Right? Let me go ahead and restore that, and once again, recompile it, rerun it, and now it goes to the next line. That's again, the lab one will get this set up basically for you. Then once you've got it to a point where you can actually turn it in, you download it, you take that file, and you turn it into CodePost. I'm not going to be able to show this to you from a student point of view, and I don't want to show you from an admin point of view because then you'll potentially see other students' code in here. But you'll definitely see it tomorrow when you turn it in your first lab. Again, you can turn it in as many times as you want, up until the due date. Okay? Any questions? No? All right, I don't want to get into any basics right now since we only have 5 minutes. But again, I'll draw your attention to the week 1 here. First lab is tomorrow. Your first hack is on Thursday, but it is not due until Tuesday the 3rd because of Labor Day. And then you should get started on readings 1 and 2, which are due on the 4th and the 5th, respectively. Right? So get started on those readings.